Hello, welcome to today's special kind of almost sort of a review video. Now this isn't going to be a typical Codex review. The Codex reviews have been out by some of the major channels already for a week already, so that's not what this is. This is a review of the Tau Codex. I just picked this up today. As you can see, still in the plastic wrap. Looking forward to taking a look at this. What I want to do with this is kind of look through some of the aspects of the Tau Codex as it relates to my army. So this is my interpretation of it, of how my model collection, my style of play with the Tau lines up with the Codex, how the Codex can help me or not, what options it gives me, what options it doesn't, where some of the synergies are. Now, again, I haven't spent a lot of time in this. I did watch Winner's SEO do his, watch his review, which was very helpful. It really kind of got me excited to purchase this. So I've got it, got the data cards, go over those. But let's kind of dive in and take a look at what we got. All right, so I'm not going to go through the whole narrative section at all. What I want to start with are some of the war gear, kind of some of the changes they made in war gear, and how it kind of affects me, and some of the different changes they made to some of the units. Okay, so as I'm sure you're aware, from the index they put this new Acept word in, where every it's one of the keywords was the Acept with between those little carets. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and we'll zoom in a bit here. Take a closer look. Now, with this Acept keyword, we kind of thought, and sure enough, they did almost like a chapter approach, which is very good. So they added some interesting aspects based on the Tau Acept. Now, one of the first things they added, which I think is kind of neat, is actually signature systems. Let's see if I could find those. There we go. Signature systems. Back in the early edition, you had some of these you're going to recognize, some you won't. Now we've got the Pure Tide Engram chip, which is something from last edition, with Onager Gauntlet from edition or two ago. There's the multi-spectrum sensor suite, which, or I should say, no, that's not what it is. That one's the multi-sensor discouragement array. That's new. Let's see, none of those. Here's the vectored maneuvering thrusters. Now, that used to be a Tau battlesuit upgrade. Let's see. Down here we've got fusion blades, at least. That's part of the old Farsight enclaves. So these signature systems, some were upgrades that we used to be able to buy for our crisis suits. But now it's been interesting. They actually have two types. One I'll call like this Pure Tide Engram Neurochip. It's available to every model, so every commander. Onager Gauntlet, any battlesuit commander can have it. But now it's interesting. For example, the vectored maneuvering thrusters. Sorry, my lighting is a little dark spot there, but notice it says Tau Acept battlesuit only. So not only is this limited to battlesuits, which makes sense, but now it's only battlesuits for the Tau Acept, not any Acept. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know if I like that, because here it's the model may immediately move up to 6 inches after attacking in the shooting phase. Well, that means that at this point, with this one signature system, one model can do the jump, shoot, jump, which isn't all that great, considering that's just what used to be the Tau's way of doing battle with crisis suits that really went away with 7th edition. And it was great for 5th, and I think 6th was still there. So, I don't know I really wish this was expanded to any Acept, but again, it's maneuvering thrusters. I wish it was available to all battlesuits, not just as a signature system. Over here, Here's another neat signature system that we haven't seen before. It's a plasma accelerator rifle with a nice profile. It's got a 30-inch range rapid fire and does 2 damage. This is a very nice one, but only the Porkon Acept can have it. But again, this would go to your crisis suits. They've kind of helped me a little bit here because I can get some interesting upgrades, but I don't think they're the upgrades I necessarily want, at least across the board. Alright, so let's take a look at Pure Tide's engram chip. And this is pretty much, you've heard it before, it's going to be a must-include in all of these lists now, because here, once per battle, you can reroll a single hit roll, wound roll, or damage roll made for the bearer, or a friendly Acept unit within 6 inches of the bearer. That's not too bad. But here's the key. In addition, if your army's battle-forged, and the bearer is on the battlefield, roll a d6 each time you or your opponent use a stratagem. On a 6, you get the command point back. Now, that's good. A lot of other armies have something like that, so now the Tau have that. That was actually part of the chapter approved, and so they kept it pretty much as written. So that's really going to help me. This is one of the really neat ones. Right here we've got the Seismic Destabilizer. At the start of each shooting phase, you may either pick an enemy infantry unit, claiming the benefit of cover, or a building within 12 inches of the bearer. If you picked a building, it suffers D3 mortal wounds, so that's going to affect fortifications and the like. But if you picked an infantry unit, roll a die for each model. On a 6, the unit suffers a mortal wound. That could be devastating, especially when you're dealing with blobs of gaunts, orc boys, even large squads of guardsmen, especially conscripts or what have you. So there's a lot of potential there, and that's a signature system. That's at the start of each shooting phase. So that's every single turn. And you know there are some units that like to charge, like to get close to the opponent. So if they get close to your commander, or whichever crisis, it'd be a commander, has this on them, they might be in for some hurt. That's pretty good. Here's something called the Transneutronic Projector. It has a very interesting profile. There it is. It's 8 inch, so it's basically a flamer. Assault D6. Basically, it's a scorcher that does 2 damage each. That's pretty high. That's actually a pretty good flamer. That could affect Primaris. So you take out a Primaris Space Marine with each failed save. That's pretty good, and they'll be saving on a 4-up. Not bad. So I kind of like that. I don't know if I'm actually going to use it with my particular army, but especially since this is for a Violacept only. So, noting the different units or upgrades that are specific to particular Septs, let's look at the Warlord Traits and Acept traits. So, that's really what it is. It's Acept Warlord Traits. This is a kind of a nice addition. Addition to this. Strength of Belief is the first one for the regular Tau Sept. On a D6, you can each mortal wound inflicted on your Warlord, a 5-up ignores it. That's useful. That's better than the Feel No Pain equivalent. Then here you have Academy Luminary. This one, I think I really like but again, it's Viola. If your Warlord has the Master of War, Volley of Fire, or Failure is not an option ability, the range of that ability is increased to 9. So think about that. Your Volley Fire, that's your Cadre Fireblade. Within 9 inches, you're hitting basically 3 times with a rapid fire weapon. So you can get quite a few units within 9 inches. In addition, if your battle is armor forged, you receive an additional command point. That's always a good thing to have. I think one thing that I'm going to like for Daleth, Sept, I don't know if I'm going to take Daleth, but here it's Gunship Diplomat. While within 12 inches of your Warlord, friendly Kroot and Vespid units get the greater good ability. That's the ability to shoot Overwatch in support of adjacent units. That could be really fun, especially since I like my Kroot, and I really want to get some, I'll make Kroot vultures to stand into the Vespids. The Beacon of Honor, that's the Cicea. Friendly Cicaya units within 6 inches, reduce the number of models that flee as a result of a failed morale test by 1. That can be helpful. I tend to run smaller units so that basically if I do lose anyone, it's probably because the unit's been wiped out already. I tend to run smaller model squads because if I roll, their leadership is 6 normally. And so basically, if I've got a 5-man unit, I'm going to be hurting or losing models if I take, let's say I take 3. So if I roll a 3 or 4 or higher, I'm going to be in trouble. So a 4 and a 5, I'll lose 1 or 2 models, but 6, we have a bonding knife ritual, so we ignore it. We automatically pass. So I don't know how useful this one's going to be for me personally. Now, if I had large units with, granted the Crute would be an exception to this, but if I had large units of Fire Warriors or full Pathfinder teams, I may be a lot more tempted to make them Cicaya. Alright, so in Seeker of Perfection, this one I really love the sound of it. It just feels Tau for Porkon. For each hit roll of 6 up made by your Warlord, add 1 wound. Sorry, 1 to the wound roll for the attack. That's huge. Think about it. Your Battlesuit Commander, we're going to assume it's the Battlesuit Commander, he could have equipped with just 3 burst cannon, just as an example, that's 12 shots. If any of those strength 5 shots are a 6, he gets +1 to wound. Now he's already strength 5. Toughness, Space Marine, that's a 4, so he's going to wound on 3s. For every 6 he rolls, that's +1. So if he rolls 1 6, he's wounding Space Marines on 2s. That is really good. So if you think about it from a perspective of looking at the like going after monstrous creatures, vehicles, high toughness opponents, where sometimes your pulse equivalent, your strength 5, or even your strength 7 going against the higher things, where you may need a 5 to hit, if you can get enough shots, you get 6s, you can increase your chance to wound pretty significantly. And even better if if you have a Warlord, let's say it's Lungstrike as an example. He does mortal wounds with his railgun. Well, with this, if he rolls to hit on a 6, rolls to hit on a 6. Sorry, where is it? Right there. Okay. He'd be +1. That means on a 5+, he ends up doing a mortal wound. That actually, it's a good addition. Now I'm going to have to go through some of these weapons profiles and look at what the commander can take and see just how often this can really play out. But that could be some fun. So I'll focus on the Porkon, which gives me potential +1 to wound. I'll focus on the Daleth, which will give me the Crute Investment. We'll be able to do supporting fire. So, all right, but let's look at some real fun things. This is like the chapter tactics for Space Marines. These are the Acept tenants. This is where I'm really finding a lot of the fun. Now, there are 6 in here. Personally, I don't like them all. Let's see, we'll do that there. So the first one, let's go ahead and zoom in here. So the first one, when a unit, this is for the Acept, so when a unit with this tenant uses their for greater good ability, doing Overwatch, they hit on 5s or 6s. That's good, especially if they're within a few inches of the, 6 inches of the Fireblade, where they get one additional rifle shot. So it's 3 shots on the per Fire Warrior, hitting on 5s and 6s. So Tau sounds pretty good, but I try not to get charged much. I try to avoid that as much as possible. So I don't know how this is definitely one that, for me, the way I run my army, fairly situational. I mean, a lot of players are going to get charged a lot. I tend to have not experienced a lot of charges the way I tend to run my army. So, of course, that might change over time. Let's move over to the Acept. So this one is real neat. So this is kind of a two-parter, and when you first read the first sentence, add one to your leadership characteristics for all models with the tenant. Big deal. Well, of course, when you have a leadership of 7 on your Fire Warriors instead of 6, I think that's definitely a good thing. Not a big game changer, but it's the second part. In addition, in the shooting phase, you can reroll a single failed to hit roll. This is good because that's any model. So you could be that miss you had on the broadside. It could be the miss from long strike. It could be well, actually, yeah, because there's 2 shots from a heavy rail rifle from the broadside. You miss one, you have a chance to get that second one off. That's a lot. So marker lights, yeah, you can re-roll 1s, but with a lot of tau shooting, it's hitting on 4s or better, so that you're not going to be able to re-roll those 2s and 3s. This will give you a chance to do that, and when you pick the right unit at the right time, this could be very useful. Still, this one's actually pretty good. Still, I don't think it's the strongest one, though. If we take a look a little bit lower here, we have Porkon. Here, models with the tenant can add 6 inches to the maximum range of any rapid-fire heavy weapons they are armed with. This one is probably the one I'm going to favor the most. I love my Fire Warriors, and I really like my Pathfinders. Now here's the neat thing. The Pathfinders, yeah, they have pulse carbines that won't benefit because that's an assault weapon. But the rail rifles are 30-inch. This will make the rail rifles 36-inch range. So that gives them that just a little bit extra punch reach. Heavy weapons, that's huge because all of the smart missile systems are range 30. That makes them range 36, equal with the missile pods. So that will bring more shots on the enemy much more quickly. And I love putting my smart missile systems on broadsides, on my Riptide, on my hammerheads, and so I'll be getting a lot of use out of that. So this one I think matches my style and my model collection, my model preference the most. Now smart missile systems are admittedly expensive, but you get 8 shots. Strength 5, AP dash, or 0, and 1 damage. But they ignore cover, and you don't need line of sight to see. At 36-inch range, you're covering a good part of the table with that extra 6 inches. And also, if you also think about it, this is the one that doesn't necessarily jump out at you. It adds 6 inches to heavy weapons, a marker light's heavy. So now I have a 42-inch marker light range. I don't have to get it up exposed anymore with my Cadre Fireblade, who wants to get that first marker light hit on someone. He can step back. Heck, he could be within 6 inches of the back table edge, or 7 inches away from the back table edge, and he'll be within range of everything within a good portion of the enemy's deployment zone. That is really, really nice. So I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of this one. So I think this will be my way to go. Now, here is the Violacept. This one, I don't know. Okay, it says if a unit with this tenant advances, it treats all rapid-fire weapons as if they were assault weapons. So rapid-fire 1 becomes assault 1. You'd think that would be bad, but let's think about that. Because if you look a bit further, it says, in addition, models with this tenant do not suffer the penalty to their hit rolls for advancing and firing assault weapons. So they've just converted a rapid-fire weapon to an assault weapon and removed the penalty for running. So now my Fire Warriors have something that I've wanted them to be able to do even better than I use them now. I like to be able to retreat a few inches while keeping my opponent in range and fire the volley. Well, if they get too close, I want to be able to move more than my 6 inches. So I could advance, maybe, I'll just call it 9 inches average, pulling them that much further back, away from the oncoming charges that are trying to get to me, and still be able to fire 1. I don't, if when I'm shooting this way, I'm not going to be in rapid fire range most of the time because I'm trying to stay over 12 inches away from them. Sorry, over 18 inches away from them. Because if they can get within a 6-inch move and get within 12 inches, they can charge. So they're going to be 15 anyway. I'm going to back up out of 15 because I don't want them to get an easy charge. So I'm only going to shoot once anyway. So why not make it an assault and move that much further back? So I could see myself using this one, but I'm not sure if I will. But let's look at Dallas for a second. This one's interesting. I'm going to have to play with this. A unit with this tenant does not that does not move, fall back, use a mana strike, charge, pile, and basically, if it just stays still, then it can claim the cover of benefit even if it's in the open. Now this is okay. There's always a cover denying stratagem available to the opponent, but you know, it's nice to have that because sometimes you're going to be in a position where you don't want to move because you need to fire at your perfect range, but you want to get at least some plus to your armor, and that would be a good way to do it. I don't think this one is going to be something I'm going to do. It's really nice adaptive camouflage. It's really flavorful, but probably not something I'm going to do. Okay, again, I'm going to stick with probably Porkon, giving me 6 inches extra range on my heavy and rapid fire weapons. Or, yeah, I think I will use maybe the Overwatch ability of Tau, the Taucept. But let's look at the stratagems and see if we can see any clear winners with stratagems. Because what's interesting is the stratagems, just like with Space Marine Codex, you have stratagems that are for the entire Tau Empire. Others that are only for certain Taucepts. So, for example, this first one, Multi-Spectrum Sensor Suite. That used to be an upgrade you could add to things. Now it's a command point. I personally don't like that approach, but that's what we're stuck with. It's only one command point, though. It allows basically a battlesuit unit from your army basically ignores cover, so they lose the benefit of a cover save. Big deal. That's not a huge one anymore, but that's available to the entire Tau force. I'll just do a quick example of Acept only, and here we have actually the one I really wanted to talk about, Strike and Fade, which is Daleth only. This is the one where, again, use the start at your shooting phase. You pick a single unit. That unit can shoot and then immediately move up to 6 inches. This is not limited to battlesuits. It's everything. But this could also allow your Daleth crisis suits to do a jump shoot jump. It's still not enough. They haven't brought back enough jump shoot jump ability with this. And I'm not going to take the Violacept unless I want the Crute to investment to be able to do the Overwatch supporting fire. So what I might do is create a small detachment with the Cadre Fireblade, my suits, which I only have one unit of suits, and all my Crute in one detachment, and they can use Strike and Fade, so maybe that would work. So there's a way I'll be able to take advantage of this one. Let's go back to the beginning here. This is a really nice one. The Failsafe Detonator. Use a command point just as soon as a battlesuit unit is destroyed in the fight phase. Basically, it allows it to deliver mortal wounds. That's always nice to be able to do that. It's only 4+, but still. Again, that Failsafe Detonator was a upgrade you could put on battlesuits. Here's your automated repair system. Used to be upgrade to vehicles. Again, I don't like the way they've done that, but we're stuck with it. 2 command points. But what this allows you to do is not only do you pick a vehicle, but you can pick a battlesuit or a battlesuit to get D3 wounds back. I think I might be able to use that because this will help your Riptide stay alive longer. It'll help Longstrike stay alive longer. So this could actually help me. I could see myself using this one. I'm not going to go through every single one. I'm just going to go through the ones I want. Here's the most disappointing one for me. EMP grenades aren't a thing anymore. They're a command point, a stratagem. So now, this is only available to Tau Empire models. So I don't believe... Yeah, so this will... Let's take a look and see if a Kroot are actually... Here we go. Kroot are Tau Empire. Okay, so Kroot now have EMP grenades in because you can use the stratagem. But all it does really is allows you to throw a photon grenade, so 12-inch range, at a vehicle. And if you hit, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. That could be helpful. Not as powerful as a grenade as they used to be, which is kind of sad. D6 mortal wounds might have been nice, but that's okay. Still, it could be the coup de grace in some cases. So you might want to spend. I might want to spend that 1 point. Okay, this one's nothing new. This was introduced in the chapter approved, and this one is the go-to. Matter of fact, what I do typically is I use my Cadre Fire Blade to fire one marker light. Then I use this to immediately make it equal to 2 or more, and that is how I get my smart missiles, or seeker missiles, to find their target. It's definitely one that I'll keep using. Now, one that's situational, but useful. I may see myself doing this. I could, with this one command point, I could give my Riptide both the increased jump distance and a 3-up invuln. So that would be good. That would be really good. So I will probably be using that one. All right, there's 2 more that I want to cover real quick in stratagem. One is this Orbitalion Beam. This is one that I'm kind of excited to try out. I don't know how good it'll be, but it is expensive. So I'm probably going to try to make more brigade detachments. But what it basically allows you to do is pick 2 points within 2d6, so it's random. It could be as short as 2 inches apart, but it could be up to 12 inches apart. And you draw a line between, and every unit that has models under that line, so basically can take a mortal wounds. So you subtract 1 if it's a character, though, but you roll a die on a 4-up, 5-up in the case of a character. The unit takes D3 mortal wounds. Even if it is only once per battle, that could be useful. That's like our version of Smite now. I don't mind that it's only once per battle. So I think that could be very useful. Now, the last one I want to talk about is the Wall of Mirrors. This is not the same Wall of Mirrors that used to be on the Ghost Keel. This actually allows your... Here, this isn't the same as what used to be on the Ghost Keel. This is Wall of Mirrors, only 1 command point. And I love this. It allows you to basically pick up a unit of stealth suits that are within 6 inches of a Ghost Keel, and usually keep them together, and just simply take it off the battlefield and move it anywhere on the battlefield within 12 inches of that Ghost Keel, as long as it's more than 9 inches away from the opponent. Now that's good. The best part about it is it doesn't count as falling back, which means you can extract the the stealth suits out of close combat and put them in firing range. That's fantastic. And if you give them jump, shoot, jump, they can move out because you move these and then you can shoot and then move again. So this could really help you get your stealth suits really out of harm's way. For 1 point, I think I'm going to go with that one. And I think I lied. I'll probably go, because there's a couple, those are all the Tau Empire ones. There's some stealth, we're going to go over the ones that I'm most likely to use that are specific to my favorite septs as far as the rules go. So let's take a look at Porkon strategy here. Experimental weaponry. So I already have, with Porkon, I have units that are, my rapid fire and heavy weapons shoot 6 inches further already. And with this, I can find I can fire a ranged weapon that makes a random number of attacks and re-roll one of the dice used to determine the number of the attacks made. So, if I decide to fire a ranged weapon that makes a random number of attacks, like my Ion Accelerator or my the Ion Cannon or my Railgun Submunition Round, I can roll basically one of the dice. I can roll the dice. That's really helpful. So that I've been in too many situations where I needed the extra shots. I only get one. This will help me get over with. It's just one CP, so I will like this one. It helps me shoot at longer range and more likely get higher output for stuff like my ion cannons, stuff like that. So I will see that one. Now, then there's the focused fire one, which is kind of neat because for 3 command points, okay, focused fire, I can basically use, when I inflict an unsafe wound on an enemy unit, okay, everything else can fire at it and get +1 to wound. You add to that, oh man, a couple other characters' abilities, and this is really going to help. That's going to be pretty cool. So it's 3. So this can really help you take out that really dangerous unit. So I think I'm going to like that one, if I take a Acept. Now let's take a quick look at some of the characters. Sorry, some of the units and some of the changes there. Oh, sorry. Before we do, I want to go quickly through a couple key changes they made to weapon systems. Now, point values. I mean, that's no big deal there. The gun drones got 4 more points more expensive. Drones got cheaper. I know you've heard that. I'm not worried about drones got more expensive. Gun drones now are 12 points. That's the same thing they used to cost when they were war gear in the last edition. If you bought drones separately as a unit, they were 14 points each. So I don't care if they're 12 now. I'm not going to be whining about that. But here is the best thing about my army. At least I think so. Oops. Here we go. Okay. Down here, under Seeker Missile, it finally can kill things. It used to be just a hit does a mortal wound. Big deal. A single mortal wound is not going to change the battle. Here, if I put 2 Seeker Missiles on something and they both hit, I can do up to 12 damage. Assuming, and with a -2 armor save. This is the old profile, basically. Strength 8, AP, 3, and 1, it could armor penetrate. So this puts on par just with the regular missile launchers from the Space Marines, which is exactly what it used to be like. That is great. Now it still only hits on 6s unless you use marker lights, so I like that. That for me is sorry, no pun intended, but a game changer. Now I can actually use the marker lights and the Seeker Missiles the way I've always used them. And better than that, Sky Rays are now a thing. So let's take a quick look at a couple of the units that are going to help me out. Because I do have 1 Sky Ray, and I want to make more, because I like having other ways to deal with, flyers than just bringing my Flying Circus. But the Sky Ray used to have, think about it, had 6 Seeker Missiles, and it had the marker light. Essentially, you could actually put 2 marker lights down on your target yourself, but instead of doing 6 mortal wounds because you had 6 potential hits from 6 Seeker Missiles, now you can do up to basically 36 points of damage. You have 6 missiles, you can take out a flyer, especially since we now have Velocity Tracker, again, which is adding 1 to things that have a fly rule. This is important because with a ballistic skill normally of 3 up, and you're flying at flyers, a lot of which have hard to hit, so you're -1, you're hitting on 4s, this makes you hit on 3s. Again, and if you get that first marker light, you're hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. There's a lot of potential there. So I'm really stoked about that. I'm really excited about that. And now, if I take my Porkon Acept, my smart missile system range is 36, so now that will be more likely to hit aircraft than it used to be, adding to the damage it can put out. So, to me, big, huge improvement there. Alright, so now the one thing I want to walk through really quick is I want to touch on... I do not have any ghost keels and had no interest in ghost keels at all. Okay. Now, I didn't like the way they played in 7th edition. They were cheese and way too cheesy. I thought they were too overpowered. But if you now they're kind of toned down. They're a lot like what they had in the Index with the stealth field. They still have the fusion collider, which is heavy D3 at 18 inches. But now with the Porkon Acept, that becomes 24 inches. And heavy D3, that would help me. Now, of course, I can put a signature support system on here, so I can put a system on that won't give me any penalties for moving and shooting heavy weapons. So I've got Strength 8, AP -4. Now, I think I need to get myself a Ghost Keel or two, because now I'll have some more potent anti-tank, because that Melta rule will apply at 10 inches. I can deep strike within 9 of an opponent and get my Melta off. I think that's really going to be helpful to me. So my Tau arsenal may just start seeing some Ghost Keels. So that's a nice improvement. Really nice improvement. Oh, yeah, and now there's two others that I want to point out. The changes that are going to affect me. My XV8s, a couple of the gun systems got a little bit cheaper, but points cost didn't change much. They're still expensive. But now, for every 3 models, I can take one with a Iridium Battlesuit, which is a 2-up save. So that's back. And now, it's not just 1 per army like it used to be. It's 1 for every 3 crisis suits, potentially. And it's a free upgrade. So that would be fantastic. Now, their toughness is already 5, so there's no bonus there like it used to be. But I like that. That's going to help me a great deal. So that was a big change there. And then the last change I wanted to bring out was there's 2 of them. There's Dark Strider. Dark Strider's abilities have changed a bit. I think this will help me, because I love my Pathfinders. Okay, when the Structural Analyzer right now, this one's powerful, because now it doesn't reduce the toughness of the opponent. It allows you to add 1 to the wound rolls for a friend, basically a single friendly infantry unit from the Tau Sept. That's the key, though. It has to be Tau. Within 6 inches. So he's a Tau Sept only, which personally I don't like, but heck, that's what you're stuck with. So I can have a Tau, what is it, a Vanguard? No. Yeah, Vanguard detachment. No, it's Spirit. Which one is the one with the fast attack? I forget which one it's called. Because Vanguard is the elite. Spearhead is the heavy support. I can't remember. But if I get my Dark Strider HQ and my 3 Pathfinder units, I've got a 1 command point detachment that I can build right out of there. That is a huge change. I really like it. Really, really like it. And he's still hitting on 2, so there's another solid marker light hit right out of the gate. That's very, very important for me. So I'm glad to see that. And Fighting Retreat, this is his ability. Units within 6, all infantry units within 6 inches of him can attack with the ranged weapons, even if they fell back, which is something that will be very helpful, assuming mine survive. So I like that. That's going to be a nice change. Okay, where did it go? Oh, here it is. I think I'm going to get the Cold Star Battlesuit. They changed it around a bit. Now what he's got, instead of just being stuck with the high output burst cannon and the missile pod, which is Assault 8 or Assault 2, and again, looking at the options here, that's the cool thing, is I can replace either or both the missile pod or high output burst cannon, and add 2 items from the ranged weapon system. Well, if I leave the Assault 8 high output burst cannon in there, and I swap out the missile pod for 2 burst cannons, which are also 18-inch range, just like this one, that will give me 8 more shots. And then this model can take 2 additional items from the ranged support system. That's 2 more burst cannons. I could go from essentially 16 to 24 shots, strength 5, AP 0, 1 out of this. Now, if you if I go and use the Warlord trait on this guy with a strength 5 weapon, where is it? Yes, for Porkon, which is the one I'm wanting to use, where for each 2-hit roll of 6 made by my Warlord, I add 1 to the roll. Okay, that's 24 shots. I'm going to have average 4 hits, which means I'm +4 to wound with a with a burst cannon. So what that means is I'm more likely to be able to hurt high toughness models with this commander than I would be elsewhere. And since he can move 20 inches, he can be my fireman. So he can move quickly from one side of the battlefield to the other. And because it's assault, I could actually run him 40 inches and still shoot. And so what if he'll hit on 3s instead of 2s? That's still pretty good output. So, and again, still getting that bonus to wound. Very, very, very useful, I think. Because the more wounds you put out, the better, right? That's force the saves, take out the models. So that's going to be a big improvement. I'm looking forward to do that. Ooh, a little bonus material here. Think about the Storm Surge has a few different weapon systems. And thinking about range. Let me go ahead and zoom in so you guys can see this. Because this one's important, especially if you're going up against a Storm Surge. Alright, let's take a look at some of the cool abilities. Okay, alright. So think about this now. With Porkon, my cluster rocket system, which is heavy, now fires out to 54 inches. My pulse driver cannon fires out to 78. Okay, that's overkill, but still, bigger's better, right? But here's the cool thing. This is really where it's important with the Storm Surge. The pulse blast cannon, each of these increases by 6. So that's 16-inch range where it's strength 14. That's a 26-inch range for 12. That's a 36-inch range for 10. That's a big change, distance-wise. So, still, doing strength 10, 2 damage each, that's heavy 6. That's a solid profile at 36 inches. At 26 inches, which isn't, it's 2 turns away as far as from charging-wise or more, you've got strength 12, AP -2, doing 4 damage. There's some real damage that's going to come out. This pulse blast cannon may actually be extremely useful on that Storm Surge. So, yep, I may be getting a Storm Surge too. Not keen on the model, really, but I think now it's not as broken as it was in 7th. I admit it was not good, too broken, but this actually looks pretty good. Alright, so that's what I have gleaned so far from the reviews, and as we went through here, you kind of saw me kind of read some of it for the first time. I think this is probably going to be a good book for me, or a good edition for me now, for Tau anyway, but we'll see. My loss rate percentage isn't so great right now, or win percentage. We'll see how that changes. I'm going to digest this a little bit more. I hope you like what you heard. Let me know what you guys, if you guys play Tau, play against them. Let me know what you think, because I'm still learning. I was chatting about this stuff with another Tau player at the shop today, and we came across a couple nice synergies. And that's I think one of the things that's really neat. I don't particularly like the fact that 8th edition is all about playing the synergies between units. that's why I did Eldar. I mean, that's the one army I expect with Eldar. Tau, there was a little bit of that in 5th edition, but not a lot. Now it's all about synergies, and at least here, the Tau Empire now has, because of their Codex, some options that can give them some of the synergies. Probably not on par with some of the Space Marine things, but still pretty good. So, alright, we'll see. I'm hopeful, at least. I'm now, at least, Games Workshop has succeeded in their marketing attempt to try to get me to buy more models, since I do see the Cold Star and the Ghost Keel coming my way. I like. So thank you all for kind of sticking in with me, listening. It's probably me to blab about it. I'm excited. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for the next video. Hopefully you'll see, hopefully start seeing some battle reports. This week coming up is Adepticon, so there probably won't be any gaming going on for a while at the shop and what have you, so I won't be doing battle reports for a couple weeks, but we'll see what comes out of Adepticon. Alright, catch you guys later. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.